The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. When I first heard of this title, I was very excited. I liked the idea of exploring the open 2D world of Hyrule, much like Breath of the Wild, but in a smaller context. The only thing that gave me pause was the echo gimmick in this. I thought it might slow down the action a lot. Playing this, my initial thoughts were actually correct. The world was great to explore, and there were secrets all over. And I also really enjoyed the dungeons and the puzzles inside. However, I was right to be wary of the battle system, as it kinda sucked. Okay, that's a bit harsh. I would say it really bogged down the action, where you would be waiting for enemies to dispatch, and that is not fun. The echoes were great when you used them to try to get around the environment or solve a puzzle, but in combat, it just didn't work. Luckily, fairly quickly, they give you the ability to switch to a sword fighter mode, which gives you Link's abilities, like being able to use a sword, arrows, and bombs, as well as jumping higher. You can stay in that mode as long as you have the power to do it. Other than stamina drinks, you have to fight rift enemies, or be in rift itself in order to refill it. It forces you to use echoes most of the time to kill enemies, or you could just run away from them. It gets to the point where I was just using a few enemy echoes in order to wipe out the enemies in the area, and only experimented with the other echoes in puzzles or the environment. Now the story is about Zelda, who is saved by Link after fighting with Ganon. Afterwards, he is sucked into a rift and she escapes. She goes home and her father and her advisors have been replaced with duplicates, and they throw her into jail. She escapes jail with an entity known as Tri, who gives her the power of echoes. Certain items and enemies can be copied, and she can make as many as Tri has power to do. With Tri's help, she can close the rifts and save the people that fell in them, and she can save her kingdom. Tri will get more powerful as she closes the rifts. Not only will it be able to produce more echoes on the screen, but the cost of them might go down. The biggest issues with the echoes is the terrible layout of choosing them. Much like Tears of the Kingdom, everything is done with one bar you have to scroll through, and there are over 100 echoes to get, and that is unwieldy to scroll through. Worse yet, some of the echoes were doubled or tripled up. For example, there might be multiple pots or beds. Beds would actually heal you depending on the one you put out, but having multiple of them was just so unnecessary. Just combine them, or say the beds or pots got powered up. Or how about a sub-menu for the different kinds of beds? Anything to make selecting echoes less tedious. If this was The Legend of Zelda Happy Home Paradise, I would say that makes sense because you're decorating a home. But this is just used for fighting and puzzle solving. I can't believe they didn't realize this in testing. While they do give you a few options to sort this, it didn't fix the bigger issue. They should have looked at a game like The Sims and have categories, or even better, a favorites option. The bigger rifts have dungeons in them, and they were great. And while they were fairly linear, if you were clever with your echoes, you could actually break the game a little in a few of the places. It got to the point where I tried to avoid combat anytime I could, and focused on the world and its puzzles, and I had a lot of fun playing the game that way. I liked exploring the land, as it wasn't too large to be tedious, and the different environments made it interesting to explore, since it wasn't just the same green field over and over again. There really was some differences between the areas. In addition to making echoes, they also give you two other abilities called Bind and Reverse Bond. Bind is really just the Ultra Hand ability from Tears of the Kingdom, where you can have Tri pick up some objects and even echoes that Zelda creates in order to maneuver them around the world. Reverse Bond just lets you move the enemy in its natural cycle. It's good for moving around the world and a few puzzles. You can also pick up a horse, which will let you move quicker through the areas. It has the ability to kill weaker enemies and jump over smaller obstructions. It's cool that you can call it with an echo ability, but it kind of sucks for the animal, since the carrot that she makes isn't real. There are quests where you have to actually bring food to someone, and an echo won't work. It has to be the real thing. But I guess since it's just a horse, it doesn't know the difference between a real carrot and a fake one. Now I asked the Little Wiiviewer and the Littlest what they thought of this. The Little Wiiviewer said they were bored quick and stopped playing. The Littlest actually finished the game, and he said he had the same issues with combat, but still enjoyed his time with the game and thought it was one of the best 2D Zelda games. Now one of the complaints I heard about this game was that there was some bad frame rate issues, and I could say I never noticed anything bad at all. In fact, it ran pretty smoothly for me, and I'm running it on a Switch that is now 7 years old. But the Little Wiiviewer did mention they had issues with that, but they didn't go into any specifics. The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom was good. I did have my issues with it when it came to combat, but the rest of the game was a blast to play. The world was expansive and it never felt like it was too large. I liked how it had secrets all over. Now I think this one's a toss-up. It's both a buy and a sale verdict. If you don't mind being a spellcaster and having creatures do your fighting for you, then you will absolutely enjoy this and it's worth a buy. However, if you like getting into battles and enjoy the combat side of Zelda games, I would say wait for it to go on sale. No matter what, you should get this game for your library, but when that happens, it kind of depends on your playstyle.